limited services. You can even become a shareholder by purchasing a minimum of 50 shares at $5 per share. Membership is super easy and convenient. Just visit our newly opened credit union building on Upper Newgate Street, Monday to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. with proof of ID and address, along with $15 to cover registration and passbook. And you'll be set and on your way. For further information, call 462-8888 or 727-2285. People's Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Today, tomorrow, together.
It's the second edition of the All Saints East and St. Luke Entrepreneur Expo, sponsored by the Honorable Jamal Pringle, Saturday 27th August 2022, at the Macpon Playing Field starting from 7 a.m. Come and support our small businesses, showcasing items in food and beverage, clothing and textiles, horticulture, arts and crafts, and many more. There will also be musical entertainment throughout the day, as well as interactive family activities. Registration can be done at the branch office in All Saints Progressive Radio at Belmont or Vilks or 462-1818. Join the Honorable Jamal Pringle and the All Saints East and St. Luke Entrepreneur Expo, Saturday 27th April 2022 at Macpon Playing Field, starting from 7 a.m. Come and support local.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Captain's Corner. I am Sean Nicholas, and I'm here with the Captain, Harold Lovell. Good evening.
Good night, good night.
Good night, good night. Another week, another program.
Yes,
How
indeed.
is Harold Lovell?
Very good, very good. We're firing on all cylinders right now.
Oh.
So, very good.
Okay, so we welcome everyone to tonight's program. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, if you're watching via Facebook, via YouTube, whatever platform you choose, share the link with your friends, with your neighbors, with your family, and let them know that the Captain's Corner is on. If you are listening on Radio Progressive 107.3 FM, we thank you so very much for being loyal to Progressive, and thanks again for being part of Captain's Corner tonight. I want to start off, Brother Harold, for us looking at comments you made last week on Captain's Corner in reference to the Global Bank of Commerce and the fact that it is being sued by one of its depositors. I remember also you were saying that you were very careful in what you were saying, understanding that the financial sector, the banking industry in particular, is a very fragile area, and you were careful with your comments. But this week, the Prime Minister decided that he had to respond to the comments you made last week, and basically saying that it seemed as if you want to stir up confusion in the banking sector. Let us start there. Let's get your reaction to those comments.
Well, I would say about the comments made by the Prime Minister that, one, he again shows that he is just a confounded liar, and there's no other way to put it, and reckless, irresponsible. I listened to the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, and I had to shake my head, trust me. Now, let me begin by saying and restating what I said the last time. when you're dealing with the banking sector, you have to be very careful. I was very careful when I started my comments last time, because having served as Minister of Finance, I know that a wrong word can make a big difference, and therefore everybody has to be responsible. The bank itself put out a statement in which they said that the matter is before the court and they don't have anything to say. But here comes the Prime Minister now. Now, I would expect him to make a statement where he would say that, as he was suggesting, all is well. I mean, that's his job to say that there have been issues or whatever he chooses to say. The point is, he went on to say things which I am flabbergasted that a Prime Minister and Minister of Finance could go publicly and be talking about money lent to private companies. How much was lent? I mean, I did not even know how much had been lent. I don't think most people knew. But the Prime Minister is putting people's confidential information out on the street. That has to be wrong. It has to be wrong. About how much he lent, 14, he had to encourage. But why he did not tell us, as he told us back in 2015, you remember when we had a meeting and I pointed out about the Navigator and the super yacht and the Jolly Harbor and so on, and he said, and I think I'm quoting him, he said, yes, the bank loaned, the same bank, and he called the name. He said Global Bank loaned him money. And I'm saying that is something we have to go and check, because even though he's playing smart but not being clever by saying that it was loaned to a company. Now, we know the laws relating to the offshore banks and lending, but you don't look at where the bank or the company is domiciled. You look at the beneficial owner. In other words, who is the ultimate owner of that company and where do they live? Where do they reside? And if he's an Antiguan living in Antigua, the shell of a company registered in Tortola or wherever will not protect him under the laws. So that's something that we are going to flag for the future. But here it is now, he's cursing out this man. He's cursing the man, saying the man is greedy. The man is unreasonable. That the man is trying to bankrupt the bank. What utter nonsense. Every schoolboy, every schoolgirl knows. If you put your money in a bank, it is your privilege, your prerogative, and it is basically a right that you have to go and take the money when you're ready for it. The only limitations you might have, the bank may have a clause that may say that if you are going to withdraw more than a certain amount, you must give them 21 days notice, or 60 days, or 90 days, or whatever. But you cannot just say, you can't get it, or I will give you when I feel to get it. You have to tender, you have to be easy, you have to beg pardon, you have to say, come in soon. You can't go on your high horse when somebody asks for their money and cursing the person for their own money. That's what this country has come to. And he's trying to make out that the money was used for national development. Hello, when you put your money in a bank, whether it's for national development or whatever, when you call for your money, it's your right. So he is very, very wrong and out of order to be cursing somebody who goes to a bank because they want their money. So that was the biggest shocker for me, that a Prime Minister and Minister of Finance could go publicly and be putting people's business. And I'm talking about the hotel that he mentioned, and even said that the charge had in his, to his knowledge. And then you ask, how does he know all of that? I mean, I served as Minister of Finance. I was never so intimately involved. I may see a balance sheet. I'm entitled to know what the status of the bank is, but not to know people's personal accounts. That is wrong. It's out of order. And I'm saying the Prime Minister needs to watch himself, because he is the one who's creating a situation where people could lose confidence. He is the one. And I see that he's batting for his friend, His Excellency, Brian Stuart Young, ambassador to the People's Republic of China, among other things. And he's saying that just give him time. He's saying he's not a crook. Nobody said he was a crook. Why is he saying that he's not a crook? Nobody said so. He's saying that the same Brian Stuart Young was the one who gave the government, or lent the government, $30 million so the government could buy shares in West Indies Oil. Again, it's not everything that you know you're going to talk about. But I would just like to ask, how much did the government have to pay in terms of negotiation fees, in terms of the other fees and charges? Is it true that it cost something like $5 million? I don't know. But we need to understand that all that glitters is not gold. And so I just want to say, with due respect to Mr. Brian Stuart Young, that it cannot look right that you are being sued as someone who holds the position of CEO of a bank. You're not only being sued as the bank, but you're being sued in your personal capacity. And I ask the FSRC, does it look right that such a person, where there's a court action pending, shouldn't this person be asked to step aside? You're not attributing any guilt, but how as the Trinidadians say, how we gonna look? How we gonna look that you're being sued in your personal capacity and you are still there as the CEO of the bank? Is this not likely to undermine confidence in the bank? I'm asking. But these are serious questions. And this bank is regulated by the FSRC, and I want to know whether or not it would not be prudent to have the CEO in these circumstances step aside. That's the decent thing to do. And nobody's going to say it again. Nobody's claiming guilt. But we're saying it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. And it does not serve to give and strengthen confidence. On the contrary, it undermines confidence. But I won't say very much more, because this is a matter, once again, I want to say that I respect the fact that anything to do with the banking sector has to be dealt with in very sensitive, very cautious, and very responsible, in a very responsible manner. And I want to assure everyone that I have no intention of creating any problems within the financial sector, because nobody gains from such a situation. Nobody gains, but I have an obligation to point out certain irregularities and to draw attention to things which affect the nation of Antigua and Barbuda. And I just want to say that at this particular time, we call on the government to be responsible in the way they handle the situation, and to ensure that nothing further is done which will undermine confidence and which could lead to further difficulties.
Okay, so I think you've cleared the air on that one. If we were to go back to last week again, a high point for the party was the launch of the Book of Achievements 2004 to 2014. And soon thereafter, we had what could be considered as a response from the Labour Party with their Book of Achievements. Let's get your take on the so-called response.
Well, first of all, let me again restate the position that was taken last week, that our Book of Achievements was a monumental success and a great achievement to have published this Book of Achievements. At the time, I said this was not only an historic document, but it was an historical document. It's a document that we can go back and refer to. It shows the things that we did. In fact, just today, a friend of mine within the legal profession sent me a message from a friend overseas who had the time to go through the book in detail and who commented at the end, with all of this, how could the UPP possibly have lost? And that's a question that a lot of people have asked. And that brings me to the analysis that some people have sought to bring to the table as far as this is concerned. I won't call their names because there's no need to really elevate to prominence the views of some people. But it is important to say that here it is, you have some so-called pundits who seem not to have understood what this book was all about. They don't understand that the propaganda of the Antigua Labour Party is such that what they try to do is twist reality, turn the truth on its head, seize a narrative that portrays anybody opposed to the Labour Party in a completely negative light. We spoke about what happened with the Progressive Labour Movement, the PLM, who had 5 years where lots of things were done in this country, lots of good things. And the Labour Party spent years to destroy that legacy and to make people feel that the PLM was only about blue chicken, etc., etc. And they've been trying to do the same thing with the UPP. UPP didn't do anything. UPP mashed up the country. Everything about UPP is bad. The United Progressive Party, tactically and strategically, we knew that we had to create the counter-narrative, tell the truth, put it there, document it there, for all to see, for all to read, not just a picture book. Yes, the Labour Party came out with a number of pictures, and those were obviously designed to just shift people's attention from real facts and to just show people pretty pictures. But that was to hide their incompetence and their lack of performance. The fact that for 8 years, 9 years, they've been there, and they can't point to the sort of achievements that we were able to chalk up in our years. So they're now coming, and they came with this book. It was obviously done in a hurry. We counted something like 100 errors. They had to recall it and told people not to share it because there were so many errors that they were so ashamed. The note went out, please do not share, because there were too many errors in it. That's them. And when you compare what we did, which was painstakingly done, documenting the achievements of the United Progressive Party, so that when they come with this nonsense that UPP did nothing, we just show them the book. This is nothing. This is nothing. Look at it. So I'm very, very happy with our book of achievements. I laugh when I see what the Labour Party has come with. They've come with a picture book, but no achievements. No achievements. You know, it's just laughable. And so as far as I'm concerned, they have tried to dull the blade that we brought to the table, but they have not succeeded, because everywhere I go in this country, people are asking me for hard copies. They want to see it. They want to have it in their possession. People overseas are calling for it. And these are people, Labour Party people, people who support the United Progressive Party, Antiguans and Barbudans at home and abroad. Because when they look at that, they see the stellar performance. And one thing I want to say, it was a team effort. And I think it's important that we emphasize that. It was a team effort, a team led by the Honorable Baldwin Spencer. But we had an excellent team, and I just want to say to all the members of the team, those who are in, those who are out, those who have stayed, and those who have left to come back again. I just want to say to all of them, we did a great job, and we can all feel equally proud of the job that we did. And when you look at their picture book, Gaston Brown is the only person who did anything. It's all about him. It's all about Gaston Brown. Nobody else did anything. It's not a team effort. It's a singular effort of one man. That's the way they promote it. That's not good.
And I'm happy you made the distinction, because there are persons who have questioned why such a book, some even misinterpreting it as a proposed manifesto. And we said, no, this is what happened. What is to come will become part of the manifesto. So I'm glad that you made that distinction. But I just want to remind our audience as well that yes, we are still taking orders. You call the UPP Secretariat 462-1818. You place your order, and when your copy becomes available, we'll be more than happy to call you to come and pick up your copy at a small contribution of $50 each. Yeah? Okay.
And that's,
so
just, that's just the cost price.
And that's just the cost price, right. You made the point of failings of the Labour Party, and that brings me to my next question, because just today the UPP put out a statement which says that UPP demands updates on 26 failed ABLP projects that should have delivered thousands of jobs and economic opportunities.
Yes.
Let's cast our attention there.
And even before I go into that, going back to even some of the criticisms they have sought to throughout the UPP. Now, they've come up with the car park and put in the car park as a UPP failure.
Yes.
It's an LP failure. Now, let me tell you why. Okay. The car park, first of all, has not cost the taxpayers of Antigua and Barbuda 1 red cent. Nothing. It was never a government project. It was a joint venture between the Transport Board and a company in Trinidad. It was a boot operation, build, own, operate, and transfer. They would build it, they would own it for a period, they would operate it for a period, and then after that period had expired, when they had made back the money that they had invested, it would be then transferred to the government. So it didn't cost the government of Antigua anything. And if it was a government project, how come that this government went and bought the project for $10 million?
Yes.
They were the ones who bought it for $10 million. And that's when it became a government project. Now, they came and told us several budgets ago that they were going to refurbish the car park. In fact, I think it was in 2019 that they said that money had been set aside for the car park. And we are now in 2022, a government that has collected more money than any previous government, and nothing has been done on that car park. They're trying to project that now. And let us not forget, the only reason why that car park never came off the ground in terms of completion was because of the global crisis and the fact that the CLICO Bank went belly up. CLICO Bank, which was the financing bank, it went belly up, that's all. It had nothing to do with the UPP government failing to do anything. The bank that was financing the project went bust. And it did not cost the taxpayers anything. It was a joint venture, and in that joint venture, no government money was put in to the joint venture. And it's very important that we understand that, because they are so lacking in anything to shout about that they try to see how they can pin on us things that they consider to be, as they say, failures. But that's an ALP failure. What have they been doing for the last 9 years? What have they been doing for the last 9 years? Our explanation is that the bank went bankrupt. It wasn't our bank. It's not an Antiguan bank. It's a Trinidad bank. It went bankrupt. Not our fault why it went bankrupt. Well, you bought it. You bought it nearly 8-9 years ago. You bought it, and you've done nothing with it. I mean, it's disgraceful. If we were in office, that would have been completed. I can say that without a shadow of doubt. We would have done it. Now, they claim again as one of their achievements. They claim about this satellite hotel, this satellite hospital on Lady Nugent Avenue. The hospital, as they call it, it hasn't been commissioned. It was a project that was taken out of education, out of the education stock, and placed in the health stock. It's not as though it's something that they built from scratch. It's something that was refurbished. But I would like them to show us inside, because my understanding is that it has been built, but it has not been commissioned, it has not been staffed, it has not been equipped. And so, again, it's just a hollow, empty boast that is really nothing to shout about. And then, of course, they talk about the clinics at Glanvilles and Villa. If it wasn't for our brother Alex Brown, had to go up there with a placard and say, please get this thing moving, get the clinic in Glanville started, nothing would have been done. And up to now, those have not been properly staffed. Neither the one in Villa, nor the one staffed and stocked. Neither the one in Villa, nor the one in Glanville. They should be ashamed of themselves. That was a gift from the Chinese. And they were supposed to put in the staff and put in the equipment and the other requirements, which they have failed to do in an adequate way. And then they come in and boast in. So, let's go to the other point now.
Okay. So, the UPP has listed 26 failed projects. I don't think we'll have the time tonight to go through all 26. But let's go through one by one. Which one you want to begin with?
Well, we can't go through all, but I mean, it's important that persons are able to know that this is really just a government full of a lot of hot air. And this is, again, another document. They'll probably say they don't want this because they don't have enough pictures. We don't need any pictures for this. This is a list that shows that this government promised over the term they've been in office. So far,
yes.
They promised an investments which would have amounted to $5 billion. None of it has been achieved. They promised 6,000 jobs. Not one has been achieved. And they promised 3,000 hotel rooms. Not one has been achieved. Well, if that is not naught out of 10, then I'm telling you, something is wrong with the concept of mathematics. Because if you say you're going to do 26 projects, and when you come up with your score sheet, and you look at all 26, and not one of them materialized, that is failure of the highest order. That classifies this government as probably one of the least performing governments anywhere in the world. Because you judge a government by the promises that they make and the promises that they're able to fulfill. That's what it's all about. Before you get into office, you say what you're going to do. But you cannot be boasting when there are 26 projects. I mean, let me just run through them.
Sure.
I'm going to just run through them.
And I may
comment on a few.
Yes, okay.
The Sunny Hill project, that was supposed to be out in Falmouth and Bethesda. Nothing. That was supposed to be a $200 million investment. That was in budget 2015, page 42. The Beaches project by Sandals, that was supposed to be 150,000. UPP was the one.
150 million.
150 million. We would have made it happen. They sabotaged it. It never happened. That was in budget 2015, page 42 also. The Half Mumbai Hotel, 200 million. Budget 2015, page 42. The Kalalub K project, 120 million. That was again in budget 2015. So all of these are promises actually documented. We're not just talking about, you know, that we heard something was in the pipeline. They were boasting, oh, we're going to have an opening and we're going to be providing this and providing that. You have the hotel resort on Pelican Island and the residences on Maiden Island. You had then the La Bahia Hotel Resort and condominiums at Marble Hill, where they were supposed to have this business park, commercial business park, 2 resort hotels and 1 business hotel. If you go up to Marble Hill, it's on the right-hand side. There was a fence there. I think they've now torn down the fence.
The fence is broken or gone.
Nothing. Just pure talk. They weren't able to make it happen. Then you had the Long Bay Hotel. You remember?
Okay, I know you'd have a lot to say on the Long Bay Hotel, but they've indicated that it's time for us to take a break. When we come back, you'll have the opportunity to pick up on Long Bay because you did quite a bit on Long Bay when it was hot and topical in the news. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. And remember, if you haven't done so as yet, share the live, send to friends, send to families, and let them know that the Captain's Corner is on and to tune in. We'll be right back.
It's time to join the family at the People's Cooperative Credit Union Limited. We offer savings accounts, deposits, fixed deposits, loans, among other related services. You can even become a shareholder by purchasing a minimum of 50 shares at $5 per share. Membership is super easy and convenient. Just visit our newly opened credit union building on Upper Newgate Street, Monday to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. with proof of ID and address, along with $15 to cover registration and passbook. And you'll be set and on your way. For further information, call 462-8888 or 727-2285. People's Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Today, tomorrow, together.
It's the second edition of the All Saints East and St. Luke Entrepreneur Expo, sponsored by the Honorable Jamal Pringle, Saturday 27th August 2022, at the Macpon Playing Field starting from 7 a.m. Come and support our small businesses, showcasing items in food and beverage, clothing and textiles, horticulture, arts and crafts, and many more. There will also be musical entertainment throughout the day, as well as interactive family activities. Registration can be done at the branch office in All Saints Progressive Radio at Belmont, or the leader of the opposition's office on Mountain 8. Join the Honorable Jamal Pringle and the All Saints East and St. Luke Entrepreneur Expo, Saturday 27th April 2022 at Macpon Playing Field, starting from 7 a.m. Come and support local.
And we say welcome back to the Captain's Corner. Thanks for staying tuned, and I just want to say a very special shout out to those of you who have joined via Facebook, and quite a lively discussion going on there, and we are following. Thanks so very much. So we were listing the failures, the 26 as listed by the UPP, and you are at Long Bay.
Yes, and that Long Bay project is one that I feel very, very strongly about. And that's because we had already devised a plan which would have turned that whole Long Bay area into a win-win success story. We would have been able to achieve a good quality hotel by beaches, and at the same time, we would have created a world-class beach park, a beach park with of international standards. And we would have had 3 local restaurants. We would have had children's playground, vendors, mall, all of those things would have been there. Everything was in place to turn 3 acres into a wonder, a masterpiece, something that would have been the first in the Eastern Caribbean. Along comes this man called Gaston Brown. He doesn't see the development for people. He sees the opportunity for the family to make a killing. And we've heard so much about it. You have a son, he goes in, knows that there's a Chinese buyer, most likely, because who would have known that? It was the Prime Minister who came and told the country that they had this Chinese buyer. By the way, the same man who's now in jail in China, can't leave, tied up the land with a group called what do they call again? Ocean Jewels, run by somebody named Sissy Lu out of Hong Kong. They now have ownership of that land out at Long Bay. He promised that there was going to be a hotel that would be constructed out at Long Bay. Up to now, all that you have out there is just bush and shrub. It is a disgrace that in a situation where the people should have been benefiting, all that happened was that the son of the Prime Minister, he was able to make a cool $2 million. The Bible says, by the sweat of thy brow, thou shalt eat bread. Well, he didn't sweat brow, forehead, no sweat at all. And he walked away with $2 million. How many young people today, if they were given $2 million, could make a real start of some sort of business? But no, this government is not about the people. This government is about the Prime Minister, his friends, his cronies, and his cabal. That's what it's all about. It's all about making money for the inner circle whilst the people suffer. And that's what Long Bay is all about. And today you go up there, it's just nothing but disgrace. You have the so-called developer in jail. You have the person who owns the company that is supposed to own the land. Nobody has seen this person. Somebody went to look for the office in Hong Kong, and they say when they went in the morning, the sign was there. They asked somebody about it. The person said nobody's there. They came back the afternoon, and this was published in the Wall Street Journal. They came back the afternoon, and by the time they came back the afternoon, neither sign, not even a typewriter, everything disappeared. Antigua and Barbuda. That's what we're talking about. Nothing has happened as a result of the avarice, the greed of this administration, and in particular, this Prime Minister. Want all. No. Talk about the Valley Church Resort. What about that? They told us that was going to be a big hotel that was going to be investing $100 million. Then you had the Amazon call center. They said they were going to build, you remember? They said they were going to build, this was in budget 2017, they were going to build a call center down at the Five Islands campus of the university. Where is the call center? It was going to be a collaboration between Amazon and I think Alorica, some company. Alorica. Yes. That's the company, and they were going to build this call center. What has become of it? And they've never even come back to the people to say sorry. Then you had the Marriott Autograph Hotel at Yeptons, another big promise that has never seen the light of day. Then you have the Beach Club at Fort James. You have the one and only hotel and luxury villas at Perns Point. You have the Port Oasis project at Side Hill. All of these things were in the budget of 2020 on page 29. Go and check, you see. Then you have the Namco acquisition of Jolly Beach Hotel. What has become of that? Then you had the Best Western Hotel at Jolly Harbor. All that is doing is just attracting people getting upset. That's just attracting criticism day by the people who live in the area. They were boasting about this Best Western Hotel, and all that you can see now is just the raw steel. Nothing at all has been done, and they have not said anything to the people. What do they have to say about that? Then you have the Marriott Courtyard Airport Hotel. Nada, nothing. That's 16. Then you have the Cedar Valley Golf Course Hotel, another big joke. You had the Mike Tyson Hotel. Remember when they brought Mike Tyson here? And he said, you're going to build a hotel? Where did Mike Tyson Hotel so long? Then you had the UN Ops with Bow Panel that they said they were going to do. We had Bow Panel here. We had already had 300 and odd applications approved by ECAB, that bank. 600 applications were in. And by the time we left office, 300 had already been approved. Everything was set to sail. Had a beautiful project where we were going to empower mainly civil servants. All was going well. They came into power, cut that, said it's 500 homes in 500 days. Nothing happened. And now you look at what we're looking at. Nothing to show for this so-called Bow Panel UN Ops project. Then, of course, there's YIDA. Perhaps the least said about then, the better. Because that has been nothing but one big embarrassment for this government. Where's the $200 million per year? Where's the $2 billion over 10 years? Not a big laughing stock, this cabinet. Nothing but a laughing stock of the Caribbean. There was the Willoughby Bay project. Where has that, what has happened to that? They had the Economic Recovery Committee. They came up with this big thing. After several months, they were able to produce a lot of big talk and so on. And in the end, when you do so, whoop, and you're looking for something, you see like a mouse. Nothing of substance were they able to produce. Just a lot of hocus pocus, a lot of abracadabra nonsense, and then produce a mouse. And even the mouse, nobody can find the mouse now. Mouse run, gone. The project is dead. What is happening in this country? Then they came up with Western Imperial Special Economic Zone.
Yes.
A man came from India with a lot of big talk. Well, you know, the big talk frightened them, especially when they see they can get something out of it. So what did they get out of it? Well, the Prime Minister got his house rent out of it, 20 grand US a month, with a clause in there that says if you're late, you pay $1,000 a day for each day you're late. His son got some houses down by Dredge Bay, rented from them as well, got a good change out of that. So they made sure they're comfortable. Where's the man now? Man cannot be found. The word on the street is that they're pulling up, they take up all the fence and they take up the containers, they're moving. Like he came, he was like a short stay visitor, because by the time he settled down, he gone again. And right now, there is no sign that there's any development taking place there. But they came and told the people of Antigua how they're going to create all these amount of jobs and do all this thing. No, I think the picture should be getting clear, because we're now down to 23. The Brover Idea Pearl Hotel, that was supposed to be the partly underwater hotel. That was supposed to be another $130 million. Then you had the US $300 million hotel investor from Holland. Again, another phantom investor. Nobody can find this man. Just a big talk to hide their failures. And what about the Armand Hotel in Barbuda? Paradise found Barbuda. They're now trying to blame the Barbudans, forgetting that the same Paradise found investor, a man by the name of Packer. Remember, he was teaming up with De Niro. Yes. Look, Packer, unfortunately, he went and made a public statement that things are a little not so tidy with his head. So he's going to take a little break, take some medication, go into a center, sort himself out, and we wish him well, because hello, and this can happen to anybody. Yes. But don't blame the Barbudans. Don't blame the Barbudans. The man was in a place in Australia getting himself sorted out. In fact, it's just recently that he came back with a bounce, saying that he's back again now, he's fully recovered, he's okay. Tell the truth, man. Tell the truth. Mr. Packer was having challenges. He was having challenges. You know, I mean, we don't want to go into the details of the challenges, but we know he was having challenges. And he had to put himself away for a while, get himself sorted out, get the doctors and so on involved, and pull himself together. Let's tell the truth, man. And that's what this government just cannot do. Tell the truth. So that's another failed one. But all in all, what we are seeing here, and you know, since we put out this list.
But there are others.
There are others.
Yeah, there's someone here saying, don't forget the Shell Beach project.
Well, there we are.
And I want to put on the card as well, the whole issue with the on again, off again with the Jolly Beach Resort.
With the Jolly Beach Resort. I mean, we've heard so many different stories about that. Look, it is a tale of abject failure. That's what it is. Abject failure. They, as I said, I liken them to used car salesmen. They have nothing to show, but a lot of talk. That's what they're good at. And we need to expose them expose them for the nakedness in their failure to deliver what they promised to deliver to the people of this country. And the fact that the only thing that you can see that's happening that is prosperous and doing well in this country is the little cabal, the inner circle around the Prime Minister. Even some of his cabinet ministers, the jellyfish that they are, they will bad talking behind his back, because I'm friends with about 3 or 4 of them. They're bad talking behind his back, but when they go in front of his face, they can't say boo. A set of jellyfish. That's what they are. But they know what's going on because they're complaining they're not getting any reaction. And I'm telling you, if you speak to some of them, they will tell you that things not looking so bright for the next election. They know that. And they're saying that he's the only one seem like he's going to come out with anything because he's making sure that his suitcase well packed. But
So the enrichment policy was for him only?
the enrichment policy, they're saying, is not an equal opportunity enrichment policy.
Okay.
It's not an equal opportunity enrichment policy. They say he is the one. That's what they say. I don't know. They say that the enrichment policy is one whereby when you look around, you see all sorts of things that are going on, and they complain that it's not an equal opportunities policy.
You have listed, or the UPP listed 26 documented here. I'm sure there are others that are yet to be documented. For persons who are listening or watching and hearing this list being read, what should they be thinking now in terms of the future of Antigua and Barbuda?
They should be thinking about the development policies that the United Progressive Party has put on the table. Because I think more and more people are coming to realize that the 10 years that we spent in government, we're a serious government. We address the needs of the people of this country. We've put some very good policies on the table. I was speaking to a young entrepreneur today, and it's not looking good. And I explained to her that these are some of the results of the government not being sensitive to what is going on in the economy. This person sells food and had 2 main complaints. One, this time last year, things were a lot better. So everybody's wondering, how could things last year when there was COVID be better than this year? When COVID was supposed to be the bane, COVID was supposed to have affected everything. But what has happened is that the government didn't realize that the spike that they put on the fuel, it has had an impact on everything. By the time people finish buying the gas, and everybody has to pay that much more for their gas, it was almost, I think, a 40% increase. You're paying that much more for gas. So things that you would normally go and buy to sustain yourself, you go and buy a nice sandwich, or you go and buy a nice plate of food or whatever. You don't bother with that again. You stay home, you buy your own bread, or you cook up your own rice, and you stew like a chicken or whatever. You put that in a container and you make out with that. So people who are supplying these products, they are not in a position to benefit. And then the other complaint was the cost of living. And she complained that a bottle of mayonnaise has gone up so much. I think she said from like $1.15 to like $1.60 something. We know about cooking oil. We know about the price of all the other ingredients that you have to put in. She said like chicken breast.
Yeah.
What she would pay for chicken breast has gone through the roof. All that we have said, you as a government cannot just sit down there and say, tough luck, suck it up.
But you're looking at it from the point of view of the entrepreneur or business people in general. But there's also households that are being affected.
Right.
Because income is the same, but yet you're going home with less because of the increase in prices in goods and services. So you're going home with far less than you used to in time gone by. So it's not just at that level. Households are being affected
that's
as well.
right. And you see, and when the households are affected, it affects what they call aggregate demand.
Correct.
In other words, the demand that would be out there in the economy, where people have a demand for goods and services, they're now spending so much
And getting
more
less.
on food and fuel that they are getting less and less. And as a result, people who are selling these things, they are suffering. And I've heard about several others who have had to go out of business because the government hasn't done anything. Our proposal is, look, we understand. We don't make rice. So if rice go up, that's not something that we have any control over. If tomato ketchup go up, when it's landed at the port, we have no control. But once it is landed, we have control over the taxes. And whereas the government is charging the same rate, the same duty, same ABST, same revenue recovery charge on the goods, even though the goods cost more, what do you expect? People are the ones who are suffering as a result of this. Oh my, this government, they have no conscience. Their heart is like a cash register. Their heart hard like the stone. It is terrible how this government treats people. We are simply saying lower the cost of duty, lower the price, lower the duty, reduce the duty. If you reduce the duty, you're going to still get more than what you're getting before in terms of taxes. Because the price at the port when it is landed, cost insurance and freight, CIF, is more. So if you apply the same 40% to more, you're going to get more. Oh my, have a heart, reduce the duty. When people want a little pig mouth, pig foot, they want a little seasoned rice. Ease up the pressure off of people. And you can do that by reducing the duty at the port, and then you get the price control involved, so you monitor these products to make sure that the retailers are passing on the benefit to the consumer, because you don't want price gouging. You don't want that the government reduce the tax at the port and then the retailer hold on the extra profit. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to ease the squeeze on the average Antiguan man, woman, boy, and girl. That's the whole idea. And we're calling on the government, have a heart. Ease the squeeze on the people of Antigua and Barbuda.
And another point to bear in mind as we talk about the failed projects, these projects which were to bring jobs to people in Antigua and Barbuda, and what we're seeing now, some as a result of the after effects or the effects of the pandemic, we are still having quite a bit of job losses. So people are, the suffering is on all ends. Yeah,
absolutely.
Your comment on that.
And that is why the government should be doing everything to protect persons from the effects of the increase in the fuel prices. I think everybody understands that the fuel prices would have had to go up, but they put it up too high.
Yes.
They put it up too high, and they put it up to such a point that it has created a real strain. People have less money in their pockets because of the inflated prices of food and other things that are important, like building materials. And then for the government to do nothing about it, what that means is that people are spending less, therefore. The shops are making less. And then on top of that, the government owes a lot of people. And I want to take this opportunity. To say a word in relation to one of our candidates, Tavon Harriet. Now, the reason why I want to say something about the situation with Tavon Harriet is that together with his father, they ran a security company called Competitive Security. And the government was one of their biggest clients. And since this government has come into office, they have just refused to pay Tavon, his father, or the people for Competitive Security. That cannot be right. For a small company to have to absorb over $3 million owed by the government, how are they to survive? And they have workers. They haven't been able to pay the obligations that are due to the workers because the government owes them and refuses to pay them. And there's a lot that goes on in this country that people need to know about. There's some people who are owed by the government and they cannot get $1 from the government, can't get $1 from the government. And they have to carry their paperwork to another person. And that person will get the money. And then they have to turn around and pay that person a percentage of what they were able to get. Now they own money. They own money. Those are some of the things that are taking place in this country under the Labour Party headed by Gaston Brown. And I'm saying it is wickedness what they're doing to Tavon Harriet, his father, and competitive security. Utter wickedness to have a debt of over $3 million. And you go on as though it's life, it's okay. You're boasting that your son can make $20,000 a month, and that's nothing, that's peanut change. Because he was placed in a favored position that he can get all the gravy. He get all the goodies. And you have other young people like Tavon Harriet, a young businessman coming up under his father in a business. And you can owe them $3 million for all these years. You can't pay them anything. And you go around as though that is okay. That is wickedness. Oh, my man.
Yeah, I feel that. You've been looking from the list at developmental projects. But I think this government would want us to forget about those other things that affected the social living, the social life of people. I'm talking here about the whole issue of water that they're hoping that we will forget about. People are still without water.
Yeah.
The fire truck, which they have addressed or seeming to be addressing, the issue when there was only one working fire tender on island. And just in the news today, we're hearing that there are only 2 working ambulances in Antigua and Barbuda.
Yeah.
So while we are focusing, yes, on the developmental projects and the failings there, life in Antigua and Barbuda is much worse.
Yeah. You touched on 2 such important things. Let's start with the fire tenders. Isn't it amazing that we have been able to get more fire tenders in 5 months than we got in 5 years? Imagine that. For 5 years, they sat down, did nothing, until the issue reached crisis point, where there was only one working fire tender, and it's as though they were sleeping at the wheel, had no idea what was happening. Oh, we didn't know. So for 5 years, nothing. And then in 5 weeks, all of a sudden, 5 months, all of a sudden, they get in fire trucks. What had happened all the time? So the people of Antigua and Barbuda, especially the poor people of Antigua and Barbuda, who live close to each other in wooden houses mostly, are suffering. You are living in an area where it may be plywood or whatever, and doesn't the government consider that such persons should be looked out for in the event of fire? How can you feel comfortable that if a fire takes place in a community where houses are like what happened down St. George's Street in February, where something like 3 houses were destroyed and 5 in all were damaged because we didn't have adequate fire coverage? And all of a sudden, and now they're getting a fire truck from Peace, Love and Happiness in Barbuda.
That one was received, I think.
They're getting a fire truck from Mr. Fattarelli, whose business was saved. You imagine a government has reached to the point where we're paying taxes. We're paying taxes, and they're supposed to be running a country. And whilst they're running this country, they have to be depending on handouts. Here, hold this fire truck. Hold this fire truck. And we are paying taxes. What kind of country are we running, for heaven's sake? Where else in the Caribbean do you hear of a government having to go cap in hand begging people for a fire truck? Oh, it's disgraceful. So that's the fire situation, the situation fire trucks. They should hang their heads in shame. No ambulance. We have more controversy in the country now because people are arguing that ambulance took too long to come to attend to the young man. And the poor ambulance people at EMS, they're saying, don't blame us. It's not me. Don't blame us. Blame them. Blame the people who are supposed to provide the country with an adequate number of ambulances. I mean, when we left office, you could see ambulances stretching over at the place where the ambulances are kept. It was adequate. I mean, ambulance up, ambulance down, up and down the place. No, we have 2 ambulances. Let's see how long it's going to take us. And let's hear the excuse that they're going to come with now, why we only have 2 ambulances. What's the excuse that they're going to come with, why we only have 2 operating ambulances? Why people cannot get the swift care that they require because this poor boss government only has 2 ambulances working. Why? They need to give answers, and they need to come with the answers quickly because things only get done when they reach a crisis point. So now you're going to hear them. Bet me. You're going to hear them. Oh, we're going to get 5 more ambulances by next week. Oh, next month, 5 more ambulances. All of a sudden, they know about ambulances. But the ambulances have been there running down, doing nothing but election coming. So all of a sudden, listen, mark my words. You're going to soon hear them talk about how many ambulances they're getting and that sort of thing. This government is a failed experiment. It's a litany of failures. It's nothing but big boast talk and no action to back it up. They overpromise, they underdeliver. They're a bunch of jokers. Time for the Labour Party to go. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. We need to replace them with a government that cares for people and has the competence to carry out its mandate. We did it before. We were able to do a lot of things when we were in office before because of the philosophy of the United Progressive Party. Put in people first. Put in people first. People first. Once you do that, you can't go wrong. But if you put yourself first, nothing but confusion like what we have happening here. No proper ambulances, no proper fire trucks. The place is falling down. Failed projects. Zero.
Water.
No proper water for the people. And I want to use the last few minutes just to reach out to the people in St. John City East because I feel their pain. I feel their pain because they need water and can't get any water. No water. And I heard mumbling, bumbling Melford on the radio today talking about we're producing something like 7.5 million gallons and so all should be well. He's living in fantasy land. Come to Buckley's and you will see 3 days now, not a drop of water come out of those pipes. Not even a drop. There was a time when you'd get a little bit, it would just be trickling so that you could just do basic things. For the last 3 days, not even a drop of water. Go to St. John City East. People are bawling, can't get water. Oh, it's terrible in this country insofar as the provision of basic services are concerned. We need to change that. And we need a government that's going to be dedicated to the task of providing proper services for the people. People first. That's the difference. It's either people first or self first. Labour Party is self first. UPP is people first. UPP, therefore, is the right choice.
So time for change, I'm hearing you say.
Oh, time for a change. Time for a change. I feel it for the people of the nation of Antigua and Barbuda. It's not just about politics. It's about feeling it for the people of this country. People are suffering too much, man. The same entrepreneur I was speaking to today said, it's as though it's like a heaviness hanging over the island. And she said, everywhere I go in St. John's, people are just saying, we need to get rid of this government. Things too hard in this country. We need to get rid of this government. And tell me, I'm telling you, this is something that I hear all over the country. Time for a change.
Mm-hmm. I know we're well over time. I know the people would love to have you more, a longer period, but you always said you don't want to go over the hour, but we're there. So I'm just going to give you the opportunity now to wrap. Talk to the people. You're saying it's time for change. UPP, the right choice. Talk to the people.
I'm saying that Antigua and Barbuda is at a critical juncture in its political history and in its social life. We're fighting right now for the soul of this nation. There's a heaviness over the land which shows in the faces, on the faces of our people, that people are dissatisfied with the way things are going. This is being picked up when you speak to the people in the shops, you speak to people in the restaurants, you speak to your neighbors, you speak to your people at work. It's clear that things are not going right in this country. And you know, what is hard? If everybody is suffering, sometimes people will put up with that. Mm-hmm. But you know what is hard? When the majority of people are suffering, and then you see a few, because of political connections, they're the ones who are doing well. The business community is also complaining that kisses go by favor. It's not about a fair distribution. It's not about a level playing field. It's about the hand-picked few who are selected to be the winners in this economy. And others, they can, as far as this government is concerned, they can fall down and go to hell. That's not right. And I just want to say to the people of this nation, the time is upon us when we will have to make a very important decision about the direction in which we want this country to go. To go in the same direction like a car racing down a hill with no apparent brakes, no control, with only the prospect of a crash in sight, or the possibility of a new administration to set things right, put things back on track, to put people first, to bring relief to our people, to create a level playing field for our business community, to create opportunities for our young entrepreneurs, to improve our health services, the emergency services, the ambulances, put emphasis on the things that matter to people, and get Antigua and Barbuda back on the road so that all of us can truly say, in the words of our national motto, each endeavoring and all achieving, not just a few, all achieving by putting people first.
Harold Lovell, we've come to the end of another program. Quite riveting tonight, I must tell you. And thank you for the time. Thank you for, speaking to the people. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to you, the audience, those of you listening via Progressive 107.3, via Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is you're listening and watching us from. Thank you so very much for being part of Captain's Corner. And until we come your way again, I'm Sean Nicholas saying, do have a good night.
It's time to join the family at the People's Cooperative Credit Union Limited. We offer savings accounts, deposits, fixed deposits, loans, among other related services. You can even become a shareholder by purchasing a minimum of 50 shares at $5 per share. Membership is super easy and convenient. Just visit our newly opened credit union building on Upper Newgate Street, Monday to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. with proof of ID and address, along with $15 to cover registration and passbook, and you'll be set and on your way. For further information, call 462-8888 or 727-2285. People's Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Today, tomorrow, together.
It's the second edition of the All Saints East and St. Luke Entrepreneur Expo, sponsored by the Honorable Jamal Pringle, Saturday, 27th August 2022, and the Macpon playing field starting from 7 a.m. Come and support our small businesses, showcasing items in food and beverage, clothing and textiles, horticulture, arts and crafts, and many more. There will also be musical entertainment throughout the day, as well as interactive family activities. Registration can be done at the branch office in All Saints Progressive Radio at Belmont, or the leader of the opposition's office on Market Street. Call 562-9331, 562-8506, or 462-1818. Join the Honorable Jamal Pringle and the All Saints East and St. Luke Entrepreneur Expo, Saturday, 27th April 2022 at Macpon Playing Field, starting from 7 a.m. Come and support local.